Hello, welcome. So, who fancies a little bit of r/best of Redditor updates? You? Yes, good, fabulous, fantastic. Just a forewarning before we get into it for today. We have some heavy topics today. So, mentions of mental health issues heavily, but. It is a happy ending story, okay? So, if you cannot cope with those kinds of topics, absolutely fine. I will see you for another video. There's lots of others to go back and look at anyway. So, yeah, or you can find something else on YouTube. I'm sure there's lots there. But yeah, I just wanted to give this forewarning before we even got into it today. Anyway, with that being said, if that sounds like something you'd be interested in listening to today, then please do stick around and enjoy. And don't forget to like and subscribe, please. Thank you. Okay then, so this one was posted by, I have no idea because I cut it off. I'm pretty sure it was Direct Caterpillar though. I'll link it anyway, so you will see who it was. So it says, "This is not my dimension, and I'm afraid I'm asleep," plus 8-year update. This one was originally posted by you/Apple Breadsticks in r/glitch in the matrix. We have trigger warnings, and I would like you to make sure you pay particular attention to these, because I understand that anything around these sorts of topics could very much set someone off who is very sensitive to these kinds of things. So I'm telling you now, pay particular attention, and if any of these are something that you think may even affect you in the slightest, please leave, find a different video on here to watch or something else. Something happy. Go find something happy. How about that? So anyway, trigger warnings, mentions of suicide, depersonalization, derealization, psychological distress, trauma, self-harm mention, other mentions of mental disorders, alcohol abuse mentioned. So mood spoilers, happy ending, and yes, I know I just had to do a lot of censoring as well, but if you don't, then essentially you get suppressed into high heaven and the video just doesn't even get seen. So I do apologize for that. I don't really particularly like having to censor when it is about such serious topics, but there we are. It's just the way it goes. Anyway, so it was originally posted December 4th, 2017. First of all, I have no idea of how Reddit works. I'm only writing this here because this is the only decent platform where my friends and family aren't registered or have the opportunity to track me down. I'll also be posting this in several different subreddits. Hope I'm not misusing the word. Since I'm at a loss and I'm looking for any kind of help or reassurance I can possibly get, let's get to it. Something is off. I feel utterly and completely disconnected from my surroundings and my body and mind. I feel as if I'm merely a passenger in someone else's life. It's like an endless dream. I wake up in the morning with the exact same feeling in my body as when I went to sleep, aka I don't ever wake up and feel new and fresh, or even tired. I simply open my eyes and go. This has caused my life to turn into a grey haze I can't seem to escape. I've had several encounters where I've accidentally looked twice at a piece of furniture or the like, and something is suddenly off. It just looks wrong. Sometimes the edges of random objects turn fuzzy or blurry, and I can blink and rub my eyes all I want, but it doesn't go away. Whenever anyone interacts with me, it feels like my body goes on autopilot and I don't have a say in what I do or say. It's driving me insane. It's like I'm sharing my body with someone else. Before anyone asks, I have worked with several psychiatrists, therapists, and doctors since I was very young. I have dealt with depression in the past, but I've recovered. I haven't ever been diagnosed with any kind of dissociative disorder or the like, and none of the professionals I've spoken to seem to know what's wrong with me. Everything is faded and dull. Colours aren't as bright or strong. Any kind of noise sounds far away, and it's getting harder for me to even feel my clothing touch my skin. And it's getting worse. Am I dead? Am I dreaming? Has my life become like one of those experiences where I get knocked out and I'm laying on the pavement somewhere? In reality, I'm living an entire life inside my head? Please help. The only solution to this seems to be suicide. died. Absolutely not. No, 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 no. I'm just holding on to the fact that I know that there is a happy ending. But I don't want to die. I want to live, but I want it to be real. Please help. Yeah, if anyone else is ever feeling like this, just, talk to someone, talk to anyone. Just lay it all bare and tell them everything. Tell them what you're feeling. Tell them that you're having those thoughts. Just make sure you get the help in any way possible, even if it's just from someone listening. I think just having someone validate your feelings can be very helpful when things seem so low like that. But absolutely, that is not the way to deal with it for sure. So, relevant comments, editors know other comments from OOP that were too long, not worth putting in here, reveals that she is 16, went to therapy due to depression from trauma, and that she doesn't actually want to off herself as her life outside of this issue is satisfactory. So, a commenter says, "You're not dreaming, and I know it's kind of dick to say this, but there is a good chance you are having psychological episode of some sort. You have to talk to a medical professional about these symptoms." So then the OOP says, "This episode has been going on since as long as I can remember. Then, as I mentioned in my post, I've spoken to several medical professionals during my life, and you're not being a dick at all. I really appreciate the input." Another commenter says, "I do want to understand you and don't mean to be a jerk. If you have this episode as long as you remember, how do you know that there is something different than it's supposed to be? I can imagine how scary this is for you. I can have a slight touch of this feeling after in a period of insomnia." Oh, don't. Yeah, absolutely. Or when I'm going before a migraine, when it's going to be a really bad one, I feel very weird, very like everything feels swimmy, and my head feels fuzzy. Everything looks off. Everything feels like quite far away, almost like, in like films where all of a sudden, like, the person's point of view kind of weirdly stretches out away from them. It kind of feels like that. So yeah, I can kind of maybe get an idea of what the OP is trying to describe, but obviously nowhere near as intensely as what they're saying for sure. So, I am wondering, did you have a test about sleeping? Some people wake themselves a lot at night. It's not always waking up completely, so it can be hard to know if that's happening to you. I hope you find a solution. And then the OOP says, "I have a very vague memory of things not being like this. I believe it must have been when I was very young, maybe around age 3 or 5 or something. When I describe how I feel to others, they can't relate in the slightest. And besides that, I just don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I just know. I had severe sleep issues when I was younger, and I didn't really have a normal sleep pattern until I was around 14. Therefore, I regularly check up on my sleep patterns and stuff with my doctor, so I don't think that's the root of the issue. Thank you." I'm definitely leaning towards a depersonalization, derealization sort of thing, perhaps just by the way they're describing it. Like, that would be what I would guess, but I'm no medical professional, so I cannot say. All I can do is give my guess realistically, and sort of what I think maybe could be it. But yeah, I am no medical professional, so I could not say for sure what on earth is going on with the poor OP. So, commenter, "This sounds exactly like a dissociative disorder to me. Maybe you should go back to those psychiatrists/therapists and drop that phrase and see if they think that's a possibility." OOP then says, "I've been in therapy for 9+ years now with different doctors, and I almost held an entire PowerPoint presentation about different kinds of dissociative disorders for some of them, but none of them wanted to diagnose me because some of my symptoms just didn't add up." Ah, yes, of course. I don't like hearing that sentence out of medical professionals because quite often sometimes some symptoms don't add up, and then it turns out that, oh wait, it was that in the end anyway, because some people just react differently to certain conditions. We're not carbon copies of each other. Editing void, just adding on to that, because I think that I have quite a good example in my own experience. So when I was finally diagnosed with my Chiari malformation, I was not surprised, because I had already guessed that it was probably that ages ago. So I'd kept going into them and saying there's something wrong with my brain and I think this is it because of these symptoms that I'm getting, and I kept getting told, no, it's not that, because you don't have difficulty swallowing. Well, actually, turns out I probably still have some difficulty in that department, but it's more so when I'm asleep, which is what causes my terrible acid reflux, maybe. But yeah, and then guess what? Turns out I had the Chiari malformation and all of my horrific symptoms suddenly made sense. So yeah, you can't always go off every single symptom. And honestly, let me tell you, when I finally got the diagnosis of that, me and my new doctor were both very frustrated, because I'd obviously been looking into what on earth all of the reasonings for my symptoms could be. So for things like I can't bend down without feeling like I've been shot through the back of the head. I can't sing without my head all of a sudden feeling like it's going to explode. I can't raise my voice without feeling like my head's going to explode. I mean, like really raise my voice. So say if I wanted to shout the kids, say they're at the park over the road and I want to be like, hey, come home, I can't do that because I'll feel like my head's about to blow up. And I get like weakness in my knees where my knees will suddenly give way and all of this stuff. And I've been looking into it and I was like, I'm sure it's that. And all along, all they had to do was listen to my symptoms and go, yeah, that's definitely not right, and send me for an MRI. Because it's a physical malformation of the brain, an MRI would have flashed it up years ago when this all started. And we were both so frustrated. And I feel so lucky to have the doctor that I do now, honestly, because she has been amazing. But yeah, she was so frustrated for me. I was frustrated because I had known this all along. When I found out, I had a little breakdown because I was like, oh my God, I'm validated. Like, yeah, you get typical presentations of things, but obviously everybody is an individual and different, so everybody is going to react to certain conditions differently in their own way. Not everyone will have every single symptom, you know? So commenter then says, none of them wanted to diagnose me because some of my symptoms just didn't add up. That doesn't mean that it isn't true. It just means that your doctors aren't willing to stick their necks out and commit to a diagnosis. Please find some docs that are willing to help you. If you truly are suffering with dissociative disorder, something needs to be done, and the sooner the better. OOP then says, I think you're right. Since the mental health care in my country is free, the system is extremely slow and a lot of stuff gets swept under the rug because of how understaffed the entire system is. So I kind of gave up. But maybe I should give it another try? Commenter says, yeah, I would say that this sounds like some kind of variation of a derealization, depersonalization syndrome. In many ways, it is classic of that. I would suggest not ruling this out at all, and it is always possible that the particular psychiatrists you have spoken to just weren't on the ball enough when digging into it. I would go again to the mental health professionals with this particular aspect in mind, and preferably try to see a psychiatrist who specialises in that area. It might also be worth your while, and if your insurance can cover it, to order a full and detailed physical to see if anything comes up. Psychiatric and physical symptoms can often interact in sometimes unexpected ways. Yeah, they can for sure. The feeling that you don't belong here and aren't quite real, etc., can be triggered by any kind of traumatic episode. But again, not necessarily. You should explore all these options with the right mental health professional. Don't assume that you've already done that or explored all the options. That is difficult to do, frankly, and the mind is subtle and hard to treat. Try to find a professional you can work with and where you get a feeling it's actually going somewhere. Press the case a bit harder if someone says to you that they can't figure out what's wrong. And as I say, aim for specialists, even within psychiatry, for these kinds of situations and syndromes. Yeah, exactly. It still baffles me how little sort of people seem to care, even in the medical field, about issues when it comes to mental health, because I swear they see it as, oh, that's a you problem, like you're doing it to yourself, when in reality, no. Brains are an organ the same as any other, and can backfire and will be flawed. It just so happens that it is also the bit that really does control our whole reality. So if our brain has a physical issue somewhere that's very discreet and very small, and it takes only a tiny, tiny thing, a tiny little something to be off for it to make big changes, you know? So yeah, I do think that it's so frustrating how little it seems to be taken seriously, even by people that work in the mental health field. Like, it's always seems to be viewed as a problem of the person who's suffering from it, instead of it being something that is just unfortunately happening to them. You would never go to someone with a heart condition and say, that's your fault. You've just, it's all in your mind. You're just making yourself think that your heart is faulty. You wouldn't do that, would you? So why, when it comes to a brain backfiring, causing our mental state to not be working as it should be, is it seen as a fault of the person rather than something that is just unfortunately happening to them? And of course, don't get me wrong, I completely 100% understand that not everything is something that the brain is doing despite of you. Sometimes with, say, anxiety disorders, things like that, they can be something that is the chemicals going all awry, the electric signals going all awry in your brain. But it can also be learnt. It can be something from trauma. It can be things like that. So I do understand that not everything is something where the brain is just misfiring and doing its own thing. I do get that. But I just wish we looked at it in a different scope when it comes to mental health and look at it in the way of any other illness, you know? Because even with other illnesses, we can most certainly be kind of the people pushing those organs to misfire, you know, an alcoholic with liver cirrhosis, you know, things like that, a smoker with COPD, but we would never look at them and go, you did that, so you don't get help, would we? We would never do that. So why do we do that when it comes to mental health issues? It drives me nuts. Anyway, OOP then says, thank you for commenting this. It actually motivated me to schedule an appointment with my doctor. So, first update attached to original first post. Thank you all so much for all the positive responses I've gotten. As some of you may have figured out, I was completely freaked out when I wrote this, and in a very bad state of mind. As I'm sure you were, my love. I'm sure it's extremely scary to feel like that. I found great comfort in a lot of your comments. At this point, I had completely given up on the mental health care system since I've been told for so long that nothing was wrong with me. So, having so many people reassuring me that this is 100% a mental thing and that my doctors has seemed to neglect me all this time is such a weight off my shoulders. Thank you all so much for not taking this post as some sort of joke or the like. I've made an appointment with a new doctor who sounded very interested in getting me some proper help from people who specifies in dissociation, derealization, and depersonalization. Thank you all and Merry Christmas. So then we get another update posted 2 years, 10 months after the original post. Title, I believe this subreddit may have saved my life. Hi, I'm not sure if this type of post is allowed on this subreddit, but I'm deleting my account and I figured I'd revisit the community that brought me to the Reddit in the first place and leave a thanks. 2 years ago, I made a post to this sub in complete distress, 100% convinced that I was either dreaming, in a coma, dead, or somehow misplaced in the wrong dimension. After various failed attempts at reaching out for professional help, I was in a panicked frenzy, thinking that I'd have to off myself Inception style, or just had to accept that I'd never know what my real life was like, aka a fucked situation with no possible positive outcome. Besides the few people who accuse me of having this sub confused with r/no sleep, and the ones who had a laugh about telling me that I was right and there was no way out and my life was a simulation, thanks, you nonce. Oh, okay, so all of a sudden I have a feeling that this person is British, or just knows a lot of British people. That is such a Brit word. I was floored by how many supportive and comforting responses I received. I heard the terms disassociation, derealization, and depersonalization before, but never really understood what they meant. A short time after posting, I contacted my doctor with these specific terms, and instead of writing it off as a hormone driven teenaged female hysteria, as so many others had done, she referred me to a psychiatrist who knew this shit and was able to give me the care I needed. That's so good. I am incredibly happy that this OP was finally listened to. It's so validating for anything health wise when you finally find a doctor that will listen to you and goes, "No, it's not in your head. There is something wrong, and we're gonna find a way around this. We're gonna find a way to sort it. And if we can't find a way to fully sort it, we're gonna find a way to deal with it day by day." And that is so validating. It's like a weight gets lifted off your shoulders immediately because, one, you don't feel like you're going nuts anymore. It's like someone finally listens and finally says, "No, you're right." And you don't feel like some massive hypochondriac anymore. It's like that weight lifted as well of like, oh my God, someone's finally in my corner with me. You don't feel so alone anymore. And three, it's like, okay, I can see a little bit of a light now. Like before there wasn't one, and now I can see one. I can see a little bit of a pinprick in the future where I can go to. Like I don't feel so stuck anymore. Anyway, about a month ago, him and I agreed that I now have the ability to handle things on my own, and we ended the procedure. And honestly, I can't recall any other time of my life where my mind has felt this peaceful. Although I still get triggered by things sometimes that can freak me out, which is the reason I stopped visiting this forum despite my interest, I no longer have any doubt about mine or others' existence. I don't self-harm or have suicide thoughts. I am so happy. I am so glad the OP's doing better, honestly. Creating a user and making that post here led me to breaking the bad coping mechanism and terrible habits that I've settled for since I was very young. And therefore, I owe the very kind people of this sub a huge gift basket with bread and cheese and wine and a big old fancy bow. Thank you for saving my life. Honestly, it just goes to show, doesn't it, how important it is to just reach out. It doesn't matter to who or to where. I mean, make sure you're reaching out to someone that, you have a pretty good feeling is safe. But just reaching out really is the first step. And this post really goes to show how even when this user was feeling like in the darkest of their times, that one small step of reaching out and just verbalizing what was happening to the ether, to whoever was listening at the time, has made massive snowballs of positive change. Edit, thank you guys so much for the positive feedback and the awards. I've never got that many before. It's been really overwhelming. I've barely responded to anyone, but I read every single comment and I appreciate you all to the moon and back. Per popular request, I've decided to leave my account up with the 2 posts intact, as some have found them inspiring and comforting, and I can only say that I'm so happy that my experience is able to bring any sort of positivity to you guys. I don't know what else to say besides thank you and goodbye. So then we get another update 8 years after the original post, so a very recent update posted in November 24th, 2025. Hi Reddit, it's been 8 years since I made a post r/glitch in the matrix and 5 years since I posted an update. I was 16 back then and I am now 24. A lot has happened, and I randomly found the login info to this account in my high school journal and logged in to find tons of messages, so I wanted to answer the most commonly asked questions and provide info to anyone who might stumble upon this account. Before that, I'm a broken record, truly, but I can't thank the people of that subreddit enough. I see many people post their various stories and everyone is in on it, theorising that the things posted could mean this or that, which is what the forum is for. I understand that, and therefore I am so grateful that most of the commenters stepped out of that headspace to encourage me to seek help. I genuinely believe that I would have hurt myself that night if not for the kindness I was shown. And my goodness, am I glad that you were. Thank you. So, 1. I have a podcast, YouTube channel, whatever, where I read scary Reddit stories. Can I use yours? No. Okay, fine, yes. But on the one condition that you make it abundantly clear that this is not a ghost story or a glitch in any matrix, but a case of a young person without a support system having a terrible mental health crisis. If my story is to be shared as entertainment, all I ask is that it to be educational, to do my past self some justice, as a scary Reddit story was what set my mental breakdown off in the first place. Also, if you have taken my silence as it's probably fine and included my post in your content, please send me a link. You don't have to take it down. I'm just nosy. I love that. I will try and figure out how to do that. I have no idea how to do that on Reddit, but okay. What was actually going on? It took a few more years of bouncing between different psychiatrists and other forms of treatment providers before I finally, at age 21, was diagnosed with anxiety and borderline personality disorder. I know, I was shocked as well. I had this picture of BPD in my head that looked vastly different from what it actually is. Mostly due to a portrayal in media and stigma, so it never even crossed my mind. I had no idea of how different it can look from person to person, and this is exactly what I was saying before. Doctors saying to people, you don't fit criteria for this, that, and you don't fit all the criteria, and it's like, yes, but we are all individuals and we all are slightly different in our presentations of conditions. My BPD causes me to have a variety of symptoms, including severe depersonalization, derealization, and dissociation, hallucinations, depressive and manic episodes, obsessive compulsive symptoms, and a bunch of other shit that isn't cute. My state of mind when I wrote my original post was a result of all these symptoms going untreated, of trying to manage living on my own at 16, of being in an abusive relationship with an older guy, of having alcohol abuse issues that I had no idea were alcohol abuse issues. Granted, yay for Scandinavian culture. Oh, so you are not a Brit. Oh, I see. Oh, then again, you could be a Brit. You could be a Scandinavian living in the UK. It's just nonce is such a UK word. It always takes me by surprise when I see someone using it because it is such a UK word, if that makes sense. Of being sleep deprived and being severely malnourished, as people with anorexia often tend to do. I conveniently left out that I was anorexic and had not eaten in days in my original post. Looking back at it now, it's no wonder I thought something was off, lol. If I could give my teenage self a hug, I would. Also, with the gift of years of therapy, hindsight, and reflection, I believe my dissociative state followed me getting blackout drunk when I was 12 years old and having a severe panic attack. Unfortunately, I was surrounded by other 12-year-olds who locked me in a room by myself to thrash it out. Oh my goodness, because they didn't know what else to do. I remember a conversation I had with one of them about a week later where I said, I just feel like I never sobered up fully. So, there you have it. 3. Did you ever fully recover from the depersonalization and derealization? Unfortunately, no, not yet at least. It has gotten a lot better, and the symptoms that do remain don't weigh heavy on me at all. I still feel fuzzy, but I enjoy my life even though I know that I could enjoy it more if I didn't have my condition. It took me a very long time to make peace with it, but I came to accept it as an either I kill myself or I take what I can get, and well, I'm still here, and I'm genuinely glad to be. I'm forgetful, I get easily confused, I'm forgetful, but I'm not paranoid or scared or feeling like I'm completely detached from my body anymore. If I sit down and concentrate really hard on grounding exercises, the fuzz goes away. It doesn't last, but I know I'm still capable of not feeling it. I'm counting on waking up one day clear as daylight, and knowing that it's happened to others and that the feeling is within my reach has kept me going. Have you tried LSD, shrooms, etc.? Why would anyone suggest that to someone who has literally just said that they're struggling with dissociation? Like, why would you suggest that? Girl, no, and neither will I. I am so glad. OP, I'm so glad, and I'm with you. No one should be doing that if they are struggling with those kind of issues. It's not a good idea. I mean, to be honest, probably shouldn't be doing it anyway. I've never done them, so I wouldn't know exactly what they work like, but yeah, definitely not. There are a few prescription drugs that have made me feel close to normal, but I won't disclose which ones as I was abusing them, not taking them as instructed. I love smoking weed, but it doesn't help, and I don't do it much. Alcohol makes it so much worse. I'm on a mood stabilizing medication and it helps with my anxiety as well, and that's enough for me. My entire family consists of addicts, and I saw how I drank in high school and middle school. Substances are a slippery slide for me, and I stay away as much as I can. So then, 5, how are you? Dude, good. I've reached a level of acceptance and peace that I would never have dreamed of when I made my original post. I love my life, my friends, my family, the degree I'm doing, my medicine, my hobbies. I love music and books and food and my dog. There are so many things that I enjoy that are worth staying alive for, and I'm so happy I didn't manage to end my life. Living with BPD isn't easy, and likely never will be, but I manage. In comparison to what my life used to look like, however, this is a breeze. It takes work and it continues to take work every single day, and I don't always make it out of bed or out of my door. I mean, fair one. It sounds like OP has put up with a hell of a lot, and I think if there are days where they don't make it out of bed or the door, that is, understandable. And I stay away from the glitch in the Matrix-esque content at all costs, but I'm generally happy. Please don't kill yourself, it gets better. Your only guarantee that it won't ever get better is if you die before it does. Hang in there. Oh, I'm so happy, so happy to see that there was a positive outcome for the OP. Really happy. It's just awful. It sounds awful what they went through, and at such a young age as well, because, things are all a bit up in the air when you're that age anyway. You're very unsure of yourself anyway at that age. So to be dealing with something as awful as what they were dealing with must have been so scary, but they are absolutely right. If you're feeling that way, just keep advocating for yourself. Keep going to different doctors. You will find someone who will listen. It may take time, unfortunately, but you will find someone who will listen. And in the meantime, lean on any support that you can. So down in the comments of the Best of Redditor Updates post, Dried Sock says, I'm really happy this person found the help she needed. It's crazy how hard mental illness diagnosis is to navigate, and she's lucky that there was a provider who was there to help her dig deep into it. Wild story out of r/glitch in the Matrix of all places. Anyway, before we wrap this one up today, I just want to reiterate that if you are feeling any of the feelings that have been discussed today, or anything else that is making you feel like you want to harm yourself in any way, shape or form, please reach out to somebody. And you are important, no matter how many times your head tries to tell you the opposite. If you made it all the way to the end with me today, I hope, 1, you took something important away from this today, whether it's in terms of helping someone else or asking for help for yourself. But yeah, I appreciate you very much. If you give a little like, subscribe, comment, notifications on, that's your initiation into the Covenant of Void, by the way. Come join the gang. Don't forget to leave an offering of a comment to Big Al. Tell me something really positive that's happened to you lately. I think that would be a nice way to wrap this one up today. Tell me something positive. Just anything positive in your life, no matter how small, because I genuinely think the small positives are the most important, Other than that, whatever it is you're doing for the day, I hope you have a really good rest of the day. Goodbye.